This meeting is being recorded.
All right, welcome into the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. This is episode 24, the Kobe Bryant episode. It's Thursday, May 26th. As this is released, we're recording this on Monday, May 23rd. A lot happening. I got to go Fargo for the weekend, go watch the half marathon. Grant, Ethan did their things. I don't know what they did over the weekend. And we got some different things to talk about this week. We wanted to get to it last week. We wanted to discuss the NFL schedule, but we decided to have a funeral for Chris Paul's NBA Finals championship hopes. So we're going to start, though, because on Wednesday or Thursday, I believe, Nick Saban was at a booster meeting where he was talking with all the Alabama boosters, and he decided to talk about how Texas A&M was going out buying players and basically just threw Jimbo under the bus. I don't know if he was accusing him of allegations, but he was saying this. I think Nick Saban, with the recruiter he is, I think he was trying to make a pitch to his boosters that, you know, if we want to be able to compete, because A&M signed seven or eight 5-stars in the latest class. They were second.
7 5-stars.
Yep. Alabama was second behind A&M in the recruiting class, and it was because of name, image, likeness. Texas A&M went out and put bought in quotes there, as Saban would say, and it elicited quite a response from the Texas A&M head coach. And judging by, if you're watching the YouTube portion of this, you can see our co-host Grant Castor is choosing violence. He's rocking Texas gear right now. So I think he's got a few things to say about this one. Grant?
Yeah, I got a couple things to say here. First off, I would say Texas has probably been my second favorite team behind the Iowa Hawkeyes, as everyone knows. And I got on this Texas bandwagon a year before everyone else did when we were kids, guys. You know, everyone remembers when Ethan and I were in 6th grade. Dylan, you were in 5th grade, the championship game at the Rose Bowl against USC.
Ooh,
the best college football.
I know where this is going.
The best college football game I've ever seen. Damn straight, you know where this is going. But it was the year before, when they lost to Oklahoma, I think, in the regular season, so they couldn't play in the title game against USC when USC destroyed the Sooners like 55-19. They played in the Rose Bowl against Michigan. It was, again, a great game. Texas wins on the last second field goal, and I remember thinking, that burnt orange is just sexy. It's special. There's something about this that I fell in love with that kid, and then more. And then for Christmas that year was
you're cutting out here, Grant. I can't hear you.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Ethan, can you turn your TV down, please?
Really? It's that loud? Holy cow.
Yeah.
It's like literally 50 feet away.
All right, nice. We got some technical difficulties to start. Grant is disappeared.
I'm back.
Oh, he's back. We can hear him. Can't see him. That's okay, though. Face for radio. Still can't see him. Oh, there. Oh, we got the audio fixed. We got Grant back. So, Grant, continue.
So, yeah, and then, I just kind of got that Texas sweatshirt, and I've been following him, ever since then. So, to kind of go back to, what Saban said last week, he said, hey, you know what, we were the second best recruiting class in the country, and Texas A&M, they, like you said, quote, bought their players. And then Jimbo, goes sideways in the response with a scathing response saying, oh, you know what, you don't know everyone. I've been with Coach Saban. Ask his other assistants and other people who's coached for him and things they've said. Well, normally in today's world, that opens Pandora's box, and everyone wants to come out and they want to shit on the coach that Fisher just talked bad about. But I heard crickets, from them. And I saw an interesting stat today about this, boys, from 2018 to 2021, Texas A&M recruiting. 2018, 0 5-star recruits. 2019, 1 5-star recruit. 2020, 1 5-star recruit. 2021, 1 5-star recruit. 2022, all of a sudden, name, image, likeness comes out with the deep pocketbooks that those Texas oil guys have and those boosters. they all of a sudden get 5-star recruits, and they have the number one class of all time based off like 24. But and then it makes you think. Last year, Texas A&M went 4-4 in the SEC. They went 8-4 again because they're always the best 8-4 team in college football. They're always one of the most overrated teams in college football. When was the last guy they put in the NFL who was a legit first rounder? Who we say, Jimbo and his staff developed. So coincidence? I don't think so. When all of a sudden you're able to pay these recruits, maybe it's $5 million, $500,000, $1 million, $2 million to come to your school. I just don't get that. And it kind of follows the trends about, Jimbo Fisher in general. He's lazy. He's really a prick. They didn't like him here in Florida State, and he's just a whiner. I mean, his Florida State team quit in 2014 in the Rose Bowl against Oregon. And again, he's an overhyped coach, and he can't do anything. And the big thing I don't really like / understand about Texas A&M is you have all the money in the world, and you wear Adidas. I mean, this is America. We wear Nike. I know this Nike is not made in America, but we wear Nike, damn it. And they always go, like I said, again, they go 8-4, and they don't put anyone in the NFL. And then, with Jimbo, with his teams, how they quit all the time and there's so much hype. He's the kind of guy that lays up on a par 4. It's 220 yards out. I could go for the green here, but I'm gonna take the safe shot, and I'm not gonna do this. And with this game, I can't wait till Saban and his team, they get together in Bryant-Denny this year. I think it's October 8th on a Saturday. I can't wait for Bryce Young and that Alabama offense to put up 50 points on Jimbo. And then, again, Texas A&M, they'll go 8-4 again this year. And then all of a sudden these recruits will leave, and it'll just be an absolute disaster. So again, Jimbo, they lay up on a par 4. They wear Adidas, and they're not even the number one team in Texas. So they think they're better than what they are. And it just really kind of pisses me off. And I think Saban and that team is going to have something to say about that come October 8th.
I mean, I don't really have a side on this. I don't agree with Saban. I don't really agree with Jimbo because, like you said, Jimbo's a douche. Like 100%. The Florida State track coach told me that when I was at Iowa. The reason he left is because they wouldn't fund him a new football facility. They just basically said, get the hell out and just let him walk. A&M comes up, obviously gives him a bunch of money. But at the same time, Saban needs to understand this is college football. Like, this is what it is now. Like, you guys created this shithole, essentially, is what it is. People paying $2-3 million, and you can say the coaches don't have anything to do with it, but the collections are everything. The coaches are in direct contact with these collections, supposedly. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Let's be real here. Like, these guys aren't in here flying blind. Hey, what? Like, obviously they know what players to go to, so obviously there's some sort of connection there. You don't just guess on what player you want. But at the same time, like, Saban needs to figure it out and just either get Alabama donors going, get the collection going, something. But, like, let's not act like Alabama's not paying these guys too, I should say. Maybe they're not paying them as much or need to, but they're doing the same goddamn thing. And if you're going to bitch about it, go do it. Like, everyone is. I don't know what the big issue is. You can call them out all they want. You're better than them. Who cares?
Well, that's the thing, though, too, is I think that's what it was, because I think the context of it matters. Is Saban was at a dinner with a bunch of boosters, and he was trying to get them to pitch to them that, if we want to stay at that top level, we have to compete because, like Ethan said, Alabama is. Bryce Young, Nick Saban went last year before Bryce Young even played a game and said Bryce Young is set to make over $1 million in name, image, and likeness. And that it's one of those things that both Jimbo and Saban are acting like children. They're making it about themselves. And it's one of those things that's, to quote one of the great baseball movies, adapt or die. And the coaches that are they're going to embrace to jump onto it, which I think Jimbo is doing. And if it works out, great. Grant's going to have to admit he's wrong. And I don't think he'll have a problem doing it. But at the same time, to keep it's this name, image, and likeness thing too, as I think it's going to settle down at some point where kids are going to realize the grass isn't always greener chasing money all the time. It is about culture. It is about fit. It is about all that other stuff. And you'll learn, and these kids will learn a lot earlier than some other people, where it's not always going to be about the money. It's going to be what makes you happy, where you feel comfortable, where you enjoy going to school, rather than, because you can make all the money in the world, but if you're miserable, it's going to affect everything.
Yeah.
Well,
And look, go ahead, Grant.
I just think the biggest kind of problem I have with the name, image, and likeness is kind of like what Saban said. There are no rules. I'm just worried. There's not much parity in college football. It's every year we're going to have
Only going to get worse.
2 to 3, 4 teams who we know coming into the year are going to make the college football playoff. And for me, what I worry the most is if it's the schools with the big money, with these donors with the deep pocketbooks. The best players are going to go there, and we're going to lose the pageantry and the excitement that makes college football. And then people aren't going to want to watch it every year with that. But again, like you guys said, adapt or die. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's been doing it for 15, 20 years, 30 years before this. So this isn't new. But then again, Dylan, kind of like what you said, these kids, they'll go to a school and, let's stop bashing, A&M here. Let's say it's USC. It could be a linebacker from USC. And then he gets on campus, he gets in the culture, he gets in the weight room. And even if they're paying him, $750,000 as an 18-year-old, he can sit back and say, hey, this strength coach is kind of a dick. Alex Grinch doesn't know how to coach a defense. Lincoln Riley doesn't care about me. Maybe I want to transfer to Arizona State in the Pac-12, where I can play with Herm Edwards, who, is a good football coach and everyone loves. And the former linebacker for the Giants is their linebackers coach, something Pierce. They'll learn this. They might have to learn the hard way, but now that you can transfer one time without a penalty, that's okay.
If we want to be mad at someone, why are we not mad at Lincoln Riley? This guy is legitimately poaching players on active rosters. Addison from Pittsburgh. You think that guy's going to enter the transfer portal from the guy that developed in the last 2 years, made him into a top receiver? Who has Lincoln developed outside of Hollywood Brown, who's actually kind of been a bust in the NFL? He hasn't been that great. Who has he developed at wide receiver for this Pittsburgh wide receiver to go there and say, hey, here's $3.5 million, I'm going to develop you further? It ain't going to happen.
Well, nobody. And also, guys, I've said this before. Oklahoma has gotten worse every single year under Lincoln Riley.
They're not that good. They're not that impressive.
But that's the thing. What kind of will piss people off like me is it's Southern California, beautiful weather, beaches. Women are, women don't have clothes on 365 days out of the year. So you're just going to get the best players to go there. But then you only have so many roster spots. So maybe it won't be as bad as we think it's going to be. At least I hope not.
I sent you guys that article talking about there's possible unlimited scholarships for football, unlimited coaching additions, everything. Like outside in the SEC, male sports should be terrified right now because these guys aren't going to care. They're going to cut all these programs to stand in check, I guess, technically with Title IX, but all those scholarships outside of probably baseball and basketball are going to be going into football. Like if that's legitimately how it goes.
Well, and then for the Title IX, you'll for the women's sports, you'll probably have softball, soccer, and like
track and field,
basketball, track and field. You'll have the big 4 or 5.
You'll probably have rowing. A lot of teams have rowing because that's such a big number. It equals out football essentially.
Yeah. So like you said, it just kind of cancels that out right there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, if that's how it's going to go, it's going to be terrifying to see what happens.
Well, and I got interested too. I looked up and I actually heard it on, it was two pros and a cup of Joe. Brady Quinn had a stat there that blew my mind. You guys take a guess what the average amount a player is making off name, image, and likeness. This is the average.
I'm 750,000.
I'm gonna say 25,000. Yeah.
So Grant, you said 750,000. Ethan said 25,000. $646.
I was gonna say it's not that high. You think about it. With the punters getting nothing, the third string center is getting nothing. If you're talking the average, you have those guys making $4 or $5 million probably, but the guys at the bottom, they equal out. There's outliers on each side.
Yeah. So it's new. It's gonna come back to some normalcy. We'll see, but I think give it another couple of years where kids will start realizing the grass isn't always greener just for more money. I think you'll start to see it kind of come back down to earth, but this is the culture we have right now. And
something real quick, I just want to add, Dylan, is I think, these players, if, let's say they go to A&M, Texas, like the schools that I'm wearing, with the deep pocketbooks where they'll pay you, let's say you're making $70,000 out of high school to go to this school. That seems like a lot where you can take care of your family at the moment. But why not go to a better school with a better defensive line coach, with a better culture where you can learn and you invest in yourself over a 3 to 4 year span? And then guess what? You're making millions in the NFL. So don't chase the money right away. Go in, work, invest on yourself, trust coaches, and then make money when you're 21, 22 in the NFL.
Yeah, well, and it goes back to what a lot of Mark Schlereth always tells young guys coming into the NFL. Focus on your game. Everything else is going to take care of itself. And there's way too many people, these young kids, where they're more worried about building a brand than becoming a better athlete, football player, whatever sport it is. So we could do a whole podcast, and we might do that once the NBA Finals and other things kind of slow down. That might be that'll be a good podcast, I think, that we should do at some point. So we'll keep moving. The NFL schedule was released a couple of weeks ago. We wanted to get to it last week, but we ended up going off on a tangent on the NBA last week. So we're going to talk about it this week. We're going to go off of our favorite teams. So Cowboys, Vikings, and Grant Chiefs. Give our thoughts on each of our schedules, and we also are going to go off, do our top 5 games that we have circled that we do not want to miss. So I'll let one of you two start with your schedule, do your guys' game-by-game predictions and where you think they end up, which we all think we're all going to the Super Bowl, and undefeated. So I don't looking at all of our, we don't even see a loss.
We all know the Vikings are going 16-0 or 17-0 technically. 17-0.
But that's, when I look at the Chiefs schedule here, it's a tough start to the year. I mean, their first 8 games are against playoff teams from last year. You're on the road at Arizona. I guess the Chargers didn't make the playoffs, but they were that crazy overtime game away. That's a Thursday night game at home. And then you go to Indy and Tampa Bay. That's the first, tough 4 weeks of the year. And for a team who's going to try to probably build in a whole new offense, everything else like that, that's not what you want in the first, part of the year. But the kind of middle part of their schedule is nice, where they'll be able to get some wins and get some consistency there. I don't have the Chiefs' whole schedule in front of me, but I was looking at it last week. The ceiling, I think, for them this year is 12-5, which is what they were last year. And at 12-5, you're going to win the AFC West. And then your floor is, 10-7. 10-7. It's a standard the Chiefs have had these last, 4 years. But you're still in the playoffs. You're in the dance, and you have a shot to win. And some of the iffy games that I'm kind of worried about is at the Colts week 3, at the Chargers, home against Denver, again, another home game against the Chargers, when they play the Rams the weekend after Thanksgiving. Those are some iffy games. And then some games that I do think they will end up losing is, at Tampa week 4, Buffalo. And I think that's week 6 at the Chargers. And then, when they play Cincinnati. But, all in all, 5 primetime games. I like I said, I think they're going to probably go about 12-5. Surprise here, win the AFC West, but they won't be the number 1 seed in the AFC this year. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be on a mission, and they'll get them and probably get to that 13-4, 14-3 range.
That's fair. They have a tough schedule.
They do it, and like
3 of my top 5 games. I guess 3 of my top 5 games actually are involved Kansas City in one way or another.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, guys. I have Buffalo in a lot of my games because when I was looking at this, I wanted to shy away from being a homer, shine light on other good teams in the NFL, and Buffalo is one of those teams. But with the Chiefs' schedule, like I said, it's tough early, but kind of that middle part of the season is where it softens up, and hopefully by then, that's when this team gets gelling. They're comfortable with maybe the new additions at wide receiver. the young guys on defense can learn the terminology and they can play well, and then they ascend into the playoffs, which is exactly what you want. So, like I said, 12-5, floor 10-7, but again, playoff team and probably winning your 7th straight AFC West title at one Arrowhead way.
Nice. I got the Vikings at like 11-6, 12-5, something along those lines. I think they're gonna be better. I think their offense is gonna be much more consistent. I think the defense is gonna come around here later in the year. I like having the Packers very first game of the year at home. I think that gives the defense a little bit of a cushion, especially going against Rodgers, who, let's be real, he doesn't have any receivers. Like, I mean, that offense is gonna be just bare. Like, without Devontae, it's kind of crazy to think about. But I don't know. I just don't trust the Packers very much. Another game that interests me, Saints in London. Don't have to go to the Superdome. Always a big benefit down there. There are a lot of Vikings fans in London from what we saw last time they were there versus Pittsburgh. That was a heck of an atmosphere. Greg Jennings had a big, nice touchdown that game. But another one, Bills game in Bills. That's probably going to get ugly. The Bills are the best team in football, and I'm not even sure it's really that close.
I agree.
And then you got Dylan's Cowboys. I mean, they come to town. That's going to be cool. Weekend before Thanksgiving. I mean, Dylan's coming down for that one. He gets to see them go home with an L, so that's going to be exciting.
I don't know if I'll be down there for that one, but they definitely won't be going there with an L.
Right.
Is that Arizona?
You're going to Arizona. That's right. That's right. Yep. But honestly, I think my favorite Vikings game is probably going to be the Patriots game. It's different. Like, you haven't played them here in 8 years.
It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's like Thanksgiving night. I mean, the Vikings don't get this type of publicity very much. I mean, it's a very winnable game too. I don't think New England's going to be New England. Like, they're not. I don't think they're going to be nearly as good as they were last year and come close to that. But I don't know, just a fun schedule. Then you end with the Giants, Packers, Bears. I mean, you should win 2 out of those 3. But yeah, the schedule's not really that outrageous this year, I feel like, for the Vikings.
Yeah, no, it's schedule, I think, sets up nice. I think getting them at home, I would expect almost the Packers to kind of, with Rodgers still kind of working that chemistry with his new receivers, I would kind of expect Green Bay to lean on the run game a little bit more. I think that might be their most effective way right away to get the offense going. Will they do it? Who knows with Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers, but I think the Vikings, that's a realistic expectation for the Vikings in their first year. And we'll switch to the future Super Bowl champions, the Dallas Cowboys schedule. And the first 2 games, I wouldn't be shocked if they start out 0-2, but I have them splitting. I have them losing to the Bucs, and I have them beating the Bengals. I think that game is a toss-up. And
Where's that Cincinnati game at? Is it in Cincinnati?
It's in Dallas, so that's kind of why I lean towards the Cowboys winning. And then they go to New York. I think they get a win there. And then they play the Washington Commanders at home. They get a win. And then they go to the Rams, a loss. And then they go to the Eagles. I think the Eagles win that because they are at home. The link is going to be rocking. It's just going to be a tough place. And sometimes Dallas just has struggled there at times, especially if they fall behind early. And then they get a little bit of 2 back-to-back games where they play the Lions and Bears, should be able to win those 2. Then they go to Green Bay for Mike McCarthy's return to Lambeau. Cowboys are just not going to win that because Aaron Rodgers is the Cowboys' dad. I hate saying it, but it's true. Call a spade a spade. And then they go to Minnesota where they get a win. Place they've won the last 2 times.
I don't think so.
If you give Zeke the ball more than 10 times, I mean, you might as well just.
This is Tony Pollard's year. Tony Pollard's year.
So, man.
Not with that contract. Not with that contract.
And Dak Prescott owns Kirk Cousins.
Take the goggles off. Good Lord.
Nope. Cowboys get
You're
a win.
Coward.
Then they go to play the Giants at home on Thanksgiving, get a win. Then they play the Colts on Sunday Night Football, get a win. Texans win. Jags.
Davis Webb's gonna kill them.
At the Jags, I have them winning that one. Then they get the Eagles at home, which could be it's
gonna be a fun game.
Could decide the division. I like the Cowboys at home. They go to Tennessee. I think they lose that one, and then they finish with the Commanders in Washington. I'd like them to get a win. I think 11-6, somewhere between 11-6, 9-8, that type of range. There's a couple of toss-ups, but It should be good enough to get them the NFC East and probably a first-round loss.
Do you think Tennessee's going to be that good without Brown? Like, who the hell is he going to throw the ball to?
I don't think so because they lost Julio. I think they signed Austin Hooper. But again, Tannehill needs chemistry with these receivers.
I mean, they're going to give Henry the ball 60 times instead of 40? Like, I mean.
I think this might be the first kink in his armor. Now that he broke that, I don't think Tennessee's going to be that good. I think the South is.
I don't either.
I think it's the Colts division to win. So
by midseason,
and the only reason I have that
Travis is going to ask for Vrabel's head.
Could be. And the only reason I have that is because it is a Thursday night game on the road after they're playing their most hated rivals. So expect them to come out a little hangover. So that's kind of why I had them as a loss there.
Yeah.
So, but then we're also we just before we started this show, we just have our top 5 games that we have circled that we're not gonna miss. And I'll start first game of the year, Bills Rams. It's gonna be a measuring stick for the Bills. I think it's gonna be a very pro Bills crowd down in LA. They're gonna travel because really Los Angeles doesn't have any true fans unless it's the Lakers or the Dodgers. And then I also in week 1 the Sunday night game, Broncos Seahawks, where Russell Wilson goes back to Seattle. Always going to be interesting. Maybe it is Monday. I thought it was Sunday night.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's Monday night because the Cowboys Bucks is Sunday night. Yep.
You're right.
Yep.
And then I also have Commanders at Eagles in week 10. Carson Wentz going back to Philly for the first time.
Good call.
Which always going to be interesting to see what happens, how he's going to be greeted. It's probably going to be a bunch of boos, but see how he plays. And then week 12 rematch from the 2018 Monday night game that was supposed to be in Mexico City, but they had to move it back to the Coliseum. And it's Rams at Chiefs, which get your popcorn ready, bet the over because that's for sure going to hit. And then my final game of this top 5 that I have is Chiefs at Broncos in week 14. The first matchup between Russell Wilson in a Broncos uniform and Pat Mahomes. So
just in time for Russell to fall apart in December like he always does. Death taxes, Russell Wilson falling apart in December. Let's go. I can't wait to beat the Broncos for the 15th straight time. I mean, talking about owning the team, this is just delicious.
I knew that one was coming.
I'll go next.
All right, fire away. Yeah, I'm done. Yep.
All right. Well, I got the same number 5 as you, Buffalo at Rams. Talk about high octane offenses. I guess we don't know what Rams are going to look like out after McConnell's gone, but they're going to be good. They're going to be good.
John McVay.
With McVay there, they'll be fine. So that's going to be a super fun game. Next one, we're gonna keep circling the wagons here, and we're gonna take it to Kansas City. We're gonna see AFC rematch championship here. Crazy game. But this one might be 70-75. We'll have to see if they change the OT rule or not. It might never end. It's gonna be fun. After that, we're gonna go to the AFC West. Basically, the game that decides the division. Denver at Kansas City, Week 16. It's gonna be cold. It's gonna be whoever can probably establish the run. Honestly, in that game is gonna win the game. 2, going back to Kansas City at Tampa. I think, Grant, you might be going to this game. I can't remember if you said you were or not.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Thought so. So that's going to be, sorry, buddy, but I'm taking Tom. It's hard to doubt Tom.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because when I was looking at the Chiefs schedule, I had them at 2-2 after 4 games with losses on the road to Indy and Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Tough. It's a tough, like you said earlier, tough schedule. Top game, I mentioned it earlier, New England at Minnesota. Little brother, Joe, huge New England fan. Obviously, we're a big Vikings fan, so trying to talk my dad to go in. I think he's kind of scared to ask my mom about it on Thanksgiving, but we're going to try it anyway. So, heck, why not? If not, me and Joe will go. It's going to be a blast. He'll get to see his favorite team. I get to see mine. Don't get to see it very often. So,
yeah,
be dope.
No, and that's cool. And that's kind of some memories you can make, football game on Thanksgiving. It doesn't get much better than that. And like I said, it's prime time. It's 7:20. Everyone's gonna. everyone's gonna be full of turkey. Something crazy is gonna happen in that Dallas game, for better or worse. It always happens. And then we can just end the night with the Vikings playing the Patriots, and then we get ready for some college football on Friday.
Can you imagine if the Vikings
guys,
blow it, and then how drunk these people are going to be already from drinking during Thanksgiving, and then they're just going to drink more if the Vikings blow it late in the game like they always do? My God, blackout city in Minneapolis.
The city's going to burn down for the second time in 2 years.
Talk about a blackout on the TV. Every person watching is just going to be blackout and think it blacked out the TV.
Well, they're going to TV and just watching this absolute disaster happen. TikToks that are going to
the whole state's just going to be dead.
Okay, we're going to move over to the NBA playoffs here.
Pump the brakes here, but
whoa.
We got to get Grant. That's my bad. All right.
I always knew Grant was irrelevant, but that just proves it.
That hurt. But I'm sticking with US Bank Stadium. I'm going Packers Vikings week 1. There's always just an energy and a buzz when there's
Sam Bradford vibes.
When there's a new regime in town. It's first game Kevin O'Connell will coach with, a nice offseason I think the Vikings have had. And again, playing Green Bay with these new receivers, can Aaron develop that chemistry? It's going to take a while because Devontae, was 50% of his targets last year. How fast does Aaron feel comfortable in this offense? And then, this new regime, how is it for the Vikings? And another game I'm interested in is Cincinnati and Dallas, week 2, kind of just like you, Dylan, but this is the new Bengals revamped offensive line against that Dallas pass rush. Can you keep Burrow upright? With Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence coming, can La'el Collins block his old teammate? We'll wait and see. And then, again with Cincinnati, week 5, they go to Baltimore on a Sunday night. Lamar's coming back. He was injured last year towards the end of the year. This is when I want to see if Cincinnati is for real, because, Baltimore, they're going to come in every year, just like the meme of that teacher when he's coming in wearing the same outfit, holding the same binder. Baltimore, they're going to be they're going to be a physical team. I don't know if Cincinnati's ready to take this division over, but they possibly could, week 5. And then where is it going to go with this? And then week 17, Buffalo at Cincinnati. This very well could be for the 1 seed for the AFC. At this point, we'll probably see both teams are established. They're, fighting for that home field. And then this could be the future of the AFC. I'm not saying it's going to be Manning, Brady, or, Roethlisberger, Brady in the playoffs. But when you got Burrow and Allen playing in December, it's going to be entertaining. There's going to be fireworks, and it's going to be a great watch. And then low-key, another game that I'm excited for is week 3, Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. You have Buffalo, going down, talking about a team they've owned these last couple of years. And then Miami with Tyreek, Waddle, they signed Raheem Mostert. The new look Dolphins get the Bills at home. It's going to be hot in September. Buffalo is going to be wearing the blue. We'll see if the Dolphins' new regime is ready to play big boy football against the Bills right away. Because if they can, who knows? Maybe they can mess around and make December interesting in the AFC East. But if the Bills come in and win 35-0 like they typically do whenever they play the Dolphins, it's going to be over. And it's you have a bunch of JV teams against the varsity team in the AFC East this year. So Buffalo, Miami, an interesting game that I don't think many people are talking about that I'm excited for.
My biggest takeaway from this, Grant, is I don't know if Ethan, if you caught this, but Grant just said Burrow, Josh Allen, Brady Manning Part 2. Is Grant saying he's done with Patrick Mahomes? Is Pat Mahomes washed up? I think he wants him traded. I think he's done with him.
Who do you want to trade him to?
I think he's sick of with all trying to be the
that
superhero
contract's
plays.
so outrageous, it's ridiculous.
I think Grant is sick of him, and he wants Mitch Trubisky to be quarterback in the Chiefs like he did in 2017.
No.
Grant, is
we're
this
going
true?
Jordan Love. No, we're going full Jordan Love.
Hold on here. Let me go over the story. It's funny you mentioned that because we'll fall back to April of 2017. The year before, the Chiefs go 12-4. I thought Alex had a good year. You're bringing Jeremy Maclin back, a young Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Marcus Robinson.
Maclin.
I thought this team was ready to win, and this is when their defense was starting to get bad. And I was like, you know what? We need to rebuild this defense. Eric Berry finally got paid. I was like, we need to get after the quarterback. I see they trade up to the 10th pick, and I'm excited because Jonathan Allen, who I thought was the best player in college football the year before, is right there. And I was like, oh my God, he played at Saban. He knows how to practice like a pro. He's going to come. I was feeling it. I was like, let's go. We're going to get after it. And then they make the pick and they say the Chiefs take with 10th selection, Patrick Mahomes. I'm furious. I am absolutely just pissed. I'm livid. Ethan calls me. I'm like, what are they doing? They got Smith. Do they not want this defense to get better? This doesn't make any goddamn sense. I was just besides myself. And also before that point, Dylan and I, we were talking about which, college quarterback we'd like more, Trubisky or Mahomes. I did, for the record, say I thought Trubisky would be a better pro because he wasn't risk taker. I just thought Mahomes was going to be too careless with the ball and he wouldn't be able to make plays. And he played in that Big 12 offense. Well, 5 years later, I was wrong. And I am glad Mahomes is on my team.
Right? Who was right?
Dylan,
okay,
Dylan and Ethan were both right.
Yeah,
yes,
we
I
were
was wrong. And
yeah,
that too.
five, Ethan.
Yeah,
but I'm not giving up on the Mahomes train, but Burrow and Allen, those dudes are special, and it's gonna be
like
fun.
You are though.
Just a quick tidbit. If everyone wanted the Vikings to draft Manziel that one year, if they would have drafted, I told my buddy, if the Vikings drafted Manziel, I was going to be a Lions fan, and I would still hate my life just the same, pretty much. So.
it would be so much worse right now.
Would it though?
I think
at least I can put a bag on my head and feel good about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's true. So
yeah.
now we'll go to the NBA playoffs. Heat Celtics are going on as we record this. The first quarter just ended. The Celtics are.
Don't tell me. I got the game recorded.
The Twins game's better. We should talk about that.
Well,
Jesus. Okay, I'm not going to say anything, but my God.
Yeah. So Celtics are. We'll leave it at that.
One of the teams it could be going better for.
Yes, exactly.
What's wrong with you two assholes?
Hey, we never said anything. You shut up over there. You lock it up.
But here's the thing.
You got to come prepared.
You two clowns are cheering for the home team right now. And the way Dylan was going and how smug Ethan looks with his glass of wine, I don't like where this game is going.
My wine is gone, okay? Hey, judge me all you want.
Hey, this is setting up for Heat and 7, like you said. So it's okay.
I did say Heat and 7.
Yeah, so did I.
So far, this series,
29-11, Celtics are up after one. I'll say it.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fine. But here's my thing. This whole series has been just a back and forth. One team delivers a haymaker early in the game, and the other team delivers one back. So, who knows? But, the Celtics could run away with this. And if it's 2-2 going back to Miami, I wouldn't be surprised because that's probably what I predicted when I said Heat and 7.
Yeah, and we can talk about Game 3. The Celtics, pull the Suns in Game 7, just back at home after blowing out the Heat on their home court. Just uninspiring, just lethargic, just nothing was going there. Just looked out of it, just completely just didn't want to be there. They were able to come back. Bam Adebayo, who shot 10 shots in the first 2 games combined, goes 15-22. I don't remember how many points he finished with, but
I think it's 31.
Yeah, and he hit some big shots, especially as that game got close. The Celtics, I think it must be a unwritten rule now for if you play for the Celtics that if you go to the ground, you have to pull you need your Paul Pierce moment where you just lay on the ground like you died, but you probably just shit yourself. and they come
I've
back.
done that a couple times.
Depends, Ethan. Depends.
No, they don't hold it all.
Oh, well, I don't know what to
tell
you then. We might have to go have a sit down with Cheryl and Craig.
They love me no matter what I do.
Well, that's what parents are for. That's why we love them.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was Lowry came back. He played well, hit some big shots. Oladipo was huge off the bench. It won't show up in the stat book, but the defense he played down the stretch, able to get stops, force the Celtics into uncomfortable shots, and limiting them to only one shot is made the difference in the end. The Heat were able to come away with a 109-103 win, go 2-1.
Yeah, I think I think Lowry coming back, if the words grant, gave that team a spark, that they needed after they took it on the jaw in game 2. And after, they took it in the jaw in game 1 in the first half, but then came back. They needed that. And they needed Bam to get going. I'm not going to go out here and say that he's a superstar or, he's one of the best centers in the league. He's a nice all-star. He's a good player. When he averages 19 and 10 in the regular season, I need to see more of that in the playoffs. I need to see Bam come out with that Jimmy Butler mentality and take a game over. And it was nice he did that when Jimmy got hurt and he missed, the rest of the game with what's that knee inflammation.
Yep.
That Bam he put the team on his back and he said, hey, look what I can do. Jimmy, I got your back. And again, that's why this series is just so great, because both of these teams are just so deep and you never know who's going to come at you. Marcus Smart, I don't know if he's playing tonight or not, but he's got that ankle injury. Yeah. And the Celtics, they're not batting an eye, and he's their best defender, and Jimmy Butler took over game 1 and Marcus wasn't playing. But these teams, they come at you in so many ways with just the depth, that they have on their roster. And it was nice to see Lowry come back and have himself a nice game, because most of the time in the playoffs, he likes to disappear. And we're like, what happened to Kyle now?
Yeah. Well, and it was also too, because with Adebayo was because Hero, I don't know if he was hurt or not, but he wasn't there late in games where you usually have him on the court, but he wasn't there. Adebayo stepped up. Strus played big. Oladipo again. And and then the first half, Duncan Robinson came and gave him some good minutes in his first action of real meaningful
playoff time.
Yeah.
Well, and to your point, Dylan, when Hero came on the court in game 1, that gave that spark that Miami needed. And they kind of started rolling with that. But hey, when you're scoring 20 points off the bench and you're the 6th man of the year, that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. But then your point with Duncan Robinson coming out, that's why Spoelstra is one of the most underrated coaches in the NBA, because not many other coaches, I think, would go to a guy deep on their bench who hasn't had many meaningful minutes. But he saw what he's done before for this team in the playoffs, in the bubble, and he had faith in him, and he gave him that spark that it needed. So that's why this series is so fun, just because of the chess match and the back and forth blows that both teams are delivering. It's probably going to be like, in Rocky, they're both on the canvas in game 7, but who just gets up first?
Yeah. And it looks like Hero is also out tonight too. It looks like he's on the end of the bench in street clothes too. So Miami's playing underman, Boston's playing underman too. And it goes 2-2. It's best of 3 and see what happens. But Ethan, you got any thoughts on this game? Or series?
Honestly, I didn't get to see a lot of it. But I know Jimmy Butler was out. He looked really good. I didn't know Bam had such a good game, but he's a good player. So, I'm not shocked at it, but then again, how do you let a guy that literally can't hit a shot outside of 10 feet go 15 and 22 or whatever Grant said earlier? That just kind of seems outrageous if you're the Celtics, if you ask me. But Celtics obviously picked something up.
Well, and he actually had he was good from mid range. I think he even hit a couple of threes too.
Jesus,
he
Jesus was on his side that night.
And he must have heard the backlash from the media, and I'm sure there were guys in the locker room telling him, "Hey, we need you to give these big minutes," and he delivered. So we'll go over to the Western Conference Finals, and this one is all but over. I think this series ended after game 2 when the Mavs were up by 19 at one point, completely fell apart in the second half. And last night had a chance to get into it. They were in, and then the Warriors, just their experience and just the Mavs' lack of depth and talent behind Luka Doncic is really showing. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Mavs get one in game 4 on Wednesday night, but by Thursday when this is released, I think it's going to be ending that night with the Warriors winning game 5 4-1. They go back to the NBA Finals again.
Yeah,
No,
I think Luka's got to do something. That team has nothing beside him. Like, I mean, he has absolutely carried them on his back to this point, and then they just don't know. Nobody shows up in game 3. Like, I want to say,
shots.
They couldn't hit anything. Like, they're like, I don't even know, like, just terrible. Like, I'm trying to think of an analogy, but like, I was gonna say something
Houston
about Grant
Rockets
and
in
golf.
game 7.
Maybe that. I was just saying something with Grant and
Conference
golf,
Finals.
but Grant's actually gotten pretty good at golf, so I can't even go that far. Like, there's worse
Damn
people than
straight.
Grant at golf now. So congratulations, Grant. But they were just god awful. Like, they better have just thrown little bricks at the backboard, and it would have been better.
well, yeah, I mean, because that's what it was. I mean, but for the Warriors, it's kind of, for me, it's the emergence of Andrew Wiggins. He's averaging 20 points in this series, 7 rebounds, 3 assists a game. He had 27 points last night, and then that dunk where he kind of said, "Hey, I'm here to play in this series." But that just shows how good
they called that an offensive foul at first is absolutely asinine.
So bad.
That
Just
referee
ruined the whole thing.
he should be taken out of the NBA, because you're going to ruin a moment like that to make something about yourself so you can get your cool little 2 steps in and say, nope, we're going back the other way. Get that guy out of the way.
Just because you put a dick in some guy's mouth on the basketball court does not mean it's an offensive foul. He might like it. You never know.
Well, yeah, Wiggins straight up baptized that guy, and it goes back to his combine photo when he had like that 44-inch vertical, and you're just ridiculous. Oh my God, this guy is just something special. But he has 29 points last night in the Warriors, because they're the Warriors. They think 3 years ahead of everyone else. When they traded for him, they were like, he's struggling, but let's get him on this roster, and let's dominate and pretend go back and win a championship with this. But I don't know, guys. I think the series is over. I think it's going to be a sweep, because I think that to this point, Dallas, they gave it their best blow. But when you score 72 points in the first half in game 2, and you're up 14 points and you blow that lead, I think that 14-point lead at halftime. I think the Warriors, they're champions, and they're gonna seize the moment, and they're gonna go back to Chase Center. They're gonna put their feet up and relax while the other 2 teams go to war, because I don't know how it goes this year for home court in terms of how these teams finished in the regular season. But the Warriors were the 3 seed in the West, so there's a chance they might have to go fly to the opposite coast for games 1 and 2 in a series. And if they know that Steve Kerr's going to get his team full of champions ready, and it's over, I think the Warriors win Tuesday and they go to the finals. And hey boys, guess what? They're back. Thank God they won't be playing the Cavs this time. It'll be someone new. But yeah, the Warriors are back, and it's just kind of cool to see Wiggins kind of become the player we thought he could be when he was drafted.
Yeah, and I mean it's crazy. Like, basically, it just fit. They just took off. Like, they didn't even miss a beat. Like, he bought into the role. It's you have to give credit to Steve Kerr and the culture he's built there, and Steph. I think the clear leader of the Warriors, where it's not about them, it's about the team and what's going to help them. I mean, it shows. You have a 2-time he was a unanimous MVP who's will willingly come off the bench. Like, you don't see that anymore.
Well, and I was going to say, me and Alec, we were talking about this last night. If Steph wins 1 this year and gets to 4, if he wins another one and gets to 5, we have to have conversations of like this: is Steph one of the best point guards of all time? Is he a top 10 all-time player? Like you said, back-to-back MVPs, unanimous MVP, 5-time champion, best 3-point shooter of all time. He's going to get a finals MVP eventually here. In a couple of years, we could be having a serious conversation about Steph as a player that I didn't think we were going to have 3 years ago.
No. And I mean, he's not a great defensive player, but he's effective. He can, when you need him to get a stop, he's able to do it. And I mean, no one's going to look at him as one of the best defenders in the NBA, but for his size, he's an efficient defender where, when you can trust him to get a stop. And this might be the first Warrior where it's, I don't know how I don't want to say it was like, doesn't have an asterisk next to it, but
Asterisk.
yeah, same thing.
Asterisk. I like that.
Yeah. And it was where in 15, Kyrie, K-Love both out. 16, they lose. 17, Durant. 18, Durant. 19, and then 19, where they don't have Durant, where it's going to be a full-strength team versus a full-strength team. And, yeah, it was the last couple of years they were riddled with injuries, and then, yeah, they're back. It really shouldn't come as a surprise. Come to us as a surprise to any of us, because you knew they were going to find their stride. It just took them some time to play together. Clay was missed part of the year rehabbing from back-to-back ACL tears, and they're back. They're clicking at the right time, and I'm probably going to say, yeah, they're going to be holding up a trophy at the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't know really if any team out east can compete with them with the firepower that they have each and every night.
And they can handle some, like, they go through slum shooting, but they can get through it too, where, the three's not working. Well, they'll go work mid-range. They'll try to get the ball inside, kick it back out. So they can beat you in so many different ways.
Well, yeah, and also they're the best third quarter team I think I've ever seen. That the adjustments they make at halftime is absolutely incredible. No lead is safe with them, because you can guarantee they're going to go on a 11-2, 13-4, or a quick 7-0 run to start the second half, and it just changes the game. And you're like, yep, we're in trouble now. Kind of like what I was talking about last week with that Bulls team when they won that jump ball in Game 7 against the Pacers. You're just like, yep, the champs are here. They're coming. This could be an issue.
Yeah, never underestimate the heart of a champion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we'll move over to Grant's curveball of the week.
What do you got, bud?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna be honest here, boys. Totally dropped the ball here, and I'm coming up with this by the seat of my pants here. But the U.S. Open, the PGA was just this past weekend, and the course was down there in Tulsa, down there in Oklahoma, and that course looked great. It was beautiful. It was well kept. With a family member who's probably going to move down to Tulsa here soon in a little bit. I'm excited to go down and see Oklahoma. So I'm just curious, guys, for you, what would it be a state that you maybe would be excited to travel to and or see that no one talks about? Like you said, the state is a bit underrated. It doesn't get the publicity of California, Florida. You can go to Texas or, like Utah, Colorado, some of your big vacation states. What's one state you guys would love to see that, is a bit underrated that you think people don't give enough credit for?
I'm going to say Tennessee.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they have Nashville. Everyone loves Nashville. I've never been there. That's part of it. But also they got the Smoky Mountains there. You guys know me. I love hiking. I love being outdoors. I love doing that stuff. And I mean, those mountains, they're mountains. Like, they're not like hills. They're not like the bluffs in Rochester, like they're legitimate mountains. And heck, they make moonshine there. They make guns. I mean, that's cool stuff. Like, I'd go there in a heartbeat and go check out that place.
Jack Daniel's whiskey. It was the birthplace of Mountain Dew.
There's that. There's also the I'm forgetting the name of the distillery right now, but I'll think of it. Dylan, go. Dill.
Okay. Well, yeah, no. Well, my sister is she turns 21 on June 4th, and she is going to Nashville for her 21st. So I'm very jealous.
Rip.
And I think this one would have to be, I think South Carolina. I would say that Myrtle Beach area. They got tons of golf courses. It's beautiful. The weather is always nice. It's sunny, 75 all year round. Might be a little bit humid, but that's manageable. I can handle that, I think.
Well, and then also in South Carolina, let's not forget about Dylan here. The number one voted city in America for like every year for the last 30 years, Charleston.
Yep. They got a Waffle House.
Yes.
So,
people are always happy. Their son. It's a historical city. South Carolina would be a great time.
Yeah. Well, and my family and I, we were supposed to go there in 2020, but canceled because of the C word. And yeah, but I do have an announcement to make. So,
are you pregnant?
This Saturday? No, not pregnant. Not yet. It might look like it, but no, I'm not pregnant. But my sister over the weekend, I went into Fargo, watched her run the half marathon, where she ran a time of, I have to look here, but it was fast. She won her age group, and let's see here. Okay, here it is. She ran her time 13.1 miles in a time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, 22 seconds. Pace was about 6:45 a mile. And it has inspired me that next year in the 2023 Fargo Half Marathon, I will be running it.
Let's go.
So Jesus Christ, I'll say a prayer for you now.
Let's go.
And I'm not sure what my time is going to be, but I'm going to do it, and I'm announcing.
Dude, don't even worry about the time. Just get across the damn line.
So I hold myself accountable. Well, I'm too competitive. I'm going to have a time, and when my sister's winning her age group, I'm coming for her. I don't hold back. So it's going to be quite the process of getting back into running shape since I haven't done it in a while, but I'm excited. I like the challenge, and it's just, I think 2022 is the year of challenging myself, and it'll continue into 2023. So completing which is something that I've always had on my list, is I wanted to be able to complete at least a half marathon. We'll see how I feel. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a full marathon.
Never know.
That's what I have.
Never.
Well, and what's nice is this is the time of the year to start. Go out there, see if you can run a mile and a half, a 2 mile, and just build that up throughout the year. So then when you have to go inside, and run on the treadmill in winter, it's not as awful because you feel comfortable running 7, 8, 9 miles. And then you can get on the pavement before, next May, and, get to that 10, 11 mile mark where it's like, all right, sweet, I can do this thing. That's cool.
Once you get to a point like doing cross country, grass, I know you did cross country too. There is a point where you do just get that runner's high. It's a real thing.
Oh yeah,
like,
I've had it.
Legitimately, it is an absolute thing. Like you hit like 5, 6 miles. Like you go like you don't even feel it. You're like walking. It's freaking weird.
I've had runner's high one time in my life, and the only way to describe it is you black out. You don't really remember it because
you just go.
It was 2 mile of regionals my senior year, and it was a tight race. We were right neck and neck for winning the team region title, and I get to about the 150 meter mark, and the last thing I remember is my coach yelling 800 pace, and I just blacked out, and I crossed the finish line, and I'm getting jumped on by teammates that I was able to get third and put us in a spot where we ended up winning the region title. So that was cool. That was my one experience I've ever experienced doing runner's high. But we'll end with that, and we will talk to you next week.